Yo, what's good? The 2025 Harley Davidsons are out. Model launches happen. So I figured I'd give you my thoughts. What's good? What's bad? What makes you scratch your head and say, what are they thinking? So let's get right to it. Hey, Salty here. So I figured I'd give you my thoughts on the new 2025 Harley Davidson lineup. I'll start with a complaint because I think everyone, when dealing with a motor company, is required to complain about something. So I'm going to dig back into antiquity. I'm going to quote the great philosopher Socrates: "The prices are too damn high." I mean, realistically, the lowest entry level model is the Nightster with the small motor in it, and that thing is over 12 grand. That just seems like a bit much. The days are gone, I guess, of the entry level Sportster where you can get in, get out the door for $8,500. And we'll talk about that whole model line in a minute. So let's jump right in with my favorite personal thing, the touring models. So what's new in touring models? So the Street Glide and the Road Glide are the same. However, the paint jobs are different, and I think there might be a couple of people, I mean, I bought a basic black on black, but there might be a couple of people that are regretting jumping the gun because some of the paint jobs are pretty sweet on the new bikes. There's a couple with Ghosted Flames. There's a Midnight Black with Ghosted Flames, which I think looks really sick. I will say a disappointment that I had was the fact that the chrome trim versus black trim is not a separate option from the colors that you want to pick. In other words, there are some colors that are only unlocked with the black trim versus the chrome trim, and honestly, a couple of those ones like the Mystic Shift or the Whiskey Fire with flames on it or the black with flames on it would look sick with chrome trim. Not an option, unfortunately. I mean, I guess you could do it, but it'd be pretty spendy. But other than that, same bike. Other interesting thing, everyone thought they were going to do away with the Ultras and just go with the you piece part it yourself together. They came out with a Street Glide Ultra. Note, no Road Glide Ultra. That's interesting. Basically what it is, it's the same motor, it's the new fairing, it's a Street Glide with a hard-mounted tour pack with lights and lowers and a tall windshield. I think the only real mechanical difference is they may have moved, I saw a picture of it, they may have moved the shock adjuster out from kind of behind the saddlebag to somewhere just under the passenger peg, so if you wanted to adjust your preload for a long road trip when you're loading your gear, you can do it a little easier without taking the saddlebags off. Other than that, it's the same. I guess if you want to buy a Road Glide Ultra, your best bet is to build one yourself, tour packet, big windshield, lowers, and you're pretty much there. So that's cool. The CVOs are really the same, different paint jobs. You got a CVO Street Glide, CVO Road Glide, both eye-wateringly expensive, and your boy racer, King of the Baggers, Road Glide ST is still around. One piece of sadness for the touring model lineup is the lack of innovation on the Road King. It makes me nervous. It's the only one in the lineup that's still rocking the 114 engine instead of the 117. Pretty much they changed nothing except they added Whiskey Fire. So it's billiard gray, black, and Whiskey Fire. That's it. Chrome trim or black trim only. That's it. It almost makes it sound like they're going through their parts locker, and when they're done, they're going to kill it. Hopefully, maybe a redesign or a revamp, which would be awesome because the Road King is such a sweet bike. But maybe they're not selling. Maybe they're getting ready at the beginning of the end. I don't know. But touring lineup, there you have it. That's all that's good in the touring lineup. Trikes. They're the same from last year, and I don't know crap about trikes. There's 3 of them, and they have 3 wheels. I think they're based roughly on the Street Glide, the Road Glide, and the Road King. And yeah, for trike people, I'm sure there's some good trike content out there. I'm not your guy. Sorry. Hate to say it. Pan Americas, I'll just touch on this one briefly. Kind of a cool bike. I didn't think I'd like it. It's in that adventure bike realm, which that's not really my jam. But I did actually, at one point in my life, I did own a V-Strom Suzuki. I think it's interesting what they're doing with the ST model, which is they look like they're getting a little bit more street, bigger motor, maybe some more street-oriented tires on it, saying, hey, listen, we know it's kind of a top-heavy 700-plus pound bike. I don't know you're going to be taking this thing on single track, but it would be good as a mile muncher, especially if you're going to go on some trips like national parks or places where you may end up on some kind of sketchy gravel roads where you maybe don't want to take your super sweet chromed touring bike. So I think there's some goodness there. The ST model, you can get an CVO model. You can get a CVO for under 30 grand. So I mean, if there's a flex for you, if you want the Pan America CVO, And with the hard bags and everything else, it does give off kind of strong Paris-Dakar Rally vibes for those of you who are old enough to know what that is. So cool. It's got the big Revolution Max engine, that liquid-cooled engine. More on that in a minute. So now we get into the meat of the matter two, or part two, which is the cruiser lineup, which used to be the Softail lineup, but Dynas were killed. And yeah, I heard 1,000 Dyna bros cry out in anguish, and then they were silenced. Anyway, so what do they got? They got the Street Bob. What struck me is that they're all the 117 engine. There's 3 variations of it. You've got what they call the 117 Classic, the 117 High Output, and then a different 117. I forget exactly what it is. All of them are basically the same motor. They're not liquid cooled. They're the oil cooled heads with a smaller oil cooler in the down tubes of the frame. And I think they're just tuned slightly differently for different applications. So you got Street Bob, which I think kind of has a classic look to it. I was kind of as a sucker for the front fork boots and kind of that bobbed out fender look, and looks kind of fun. Looks like something you ride. The 117 motor, I think that's a sneaky good pick to just get something that'll just scoot around town. And if you want to tweak with it, man, I'm digging on what that would look like with some Springer front end on it if you can find one. Breakout looks good. I think that's really cool. It's a cool looking bike. 117 engine again. I think that's something. If you're kind of looking for that kind of long, low look, that's where you're at. The ST, the Lowrider S and the Lowrider ST, that's where that high output motor lives. I think that's going to be the big segment. I think I see tons of those bikes out of them. I think that is what the Dyna Bro kind of culture largely migrated to. Especially because I think a lot of women and a lot of people, it's a lighter bike. If you wanted to do an ST with the smaller hard bags and that fairing, you're pretty close to a smaller touring bike that's a little easier to handle for smaller statured folks or newer riders or whatever else. 117 though, plenty of power. They look sharp. I mean, I've never complained about the styling. I thought those things look good. There's a crap ton of aftermarket accessories because those are very popular bikes. So I think they're going to sell a buttload of those and everyone's going to love them. Finally, my sneaky favorite, because I'm biased, is the Fat Boy. I had one for 15 years. I loved the crap out of it. It was the Terminator, because some of us of a certain age remember Terminator 2 when he stole one of the original Fat Boys. Just a dope bike. It looks great. It's got the 117 in it, which I think is awesome. Just has that kind of big, chunky styling that either you like it or you don't. If you want a cruising bike that looks like it's built like a tank, then Fat Boy's your look. And just aside, why Harley? Why? You always have the best tank badges on the Fat Boys. The current tank badge on the Fat Boy is legit and it's sneaky good. Yeah, it's got wings on it, a flyer, salty flyer. I mean, come on, I'm into that sort of thing. So I think that you'd never ever go wrong with the Fat Boy if that's what you're looking for. But Softail lineup looks really strong. Then we get to kind of the lineup that nobody really knows about. We'll talk about a couple of things. It's their sport lineup. So you got your Nightster, I think your Nightster ST, and your Sportster. And they have the Revolution engine. I believe the Nightster has the smaller one, and then the 1250 motor is in the Sportster. I don't really care for the styling. It's not my cup of tea. I think that probably if you're getting a Nightster, there are other bikes out there that are cheaper that'll better suit your needs. It's sort of an entry-level pseudo cruiser. You're paying for the bar and shield, and you're paying dearly for it. The other interesting fact is I don't know if it applies to the Pan Americas. I suspect it does, but I know it applies to the Sportster Nightster lineup. That the RevMax engine bikes are being built, it says temporarily, for the 2025 model year in Thailand. So kind of the one thing you sit there and say, I could go buy a Honda or I could go buy a Kawasaki, but I could always say, well, I bought my Harley because it's made in America. Well, now you're sitting there saying that's the biggest advantage that those bikes had, and now, I don't know. I don't know what bin they fill in. I mean, they're trying to look modern. I love the motor company for trying to do something different. I just don't, they're not my cup of tea. They're not what I would look for, and I think that I would probably, if someone was a new person on a bike, I'd steer them away. What I suspect is someone's going to start out on a Suzuki or Kawasaki or something small like that. When they outgrow it and they know they're committed to the hobby, they're going to save their dollars and cents, and they're going to jump into a Softail. Especially if you're talking $12,000 to $14,000 for one of those sport bikes, you can start getting into a Softail for $17,000. Save your pennies, man. Get into the genuine article. But it's like a movie that's not made for me. I didn't get the Barbie movie either, so whatever. If people like it, they like it. But I do think people are going to shy away from that stuff. And the dealers have the option of not carrying them this year because they're not made in America, which I think is something that might bite some people in the head, especially in certain parts of the country where that's a big deal, you know, where things are made here, and that's a big deal, and I support that. So yeah, that's that for the 25 model year. I just want to jump in and give you some quick thoughts on that. So what are my big takeaways? It's a little sad to see that the lineup isn't as big as it once was. You know, I remember when I was shopping for my Fat Boy 15, 16 years ago now, where you'd walk in and there was a half dozen Sportster models, there was a half dozen Dyna models, there was a half dozen Softail models, there was Ultras, there was Touring models, there was a whole bunch of stuff. And it seems like they pared that down. I know that's their strategy now, that they're more of a premium brand, but it's a little sad that there's less selection out there than there once was. But I guess it's a sign of the company being healthy. Big motors across the top for everybody, so I think that's a goodness. 117s for all my friends. Sorry, Road King, you don't get to play. Cool color schemes. I think they're knocking it out of the park. Their paint and with their styling. I think if you're a touring rider, I would absolutely jump in now. Now's the time. I think the 117 motor is awesome. I think whatever electronic glitches, they've largely worked them out. So hopefully now you're jumping into kind of a proven product. The Softail line, I love the Street Bob. I love the Fat Boy. Those are what jumped out at me as something that's really cool. But don't sleep on the Breakout. I think that's just a cool looking bike. And yeah, that's what we have for the 2025 model year lineup. Also, I didn't cover it. Other channels cover it pretty well. I know Pro Monkey talks about this too. Crap ton of accessories and piece parts have hit the market there. So some things you were looking for, like the Harley 8-inch windshield. I went with the Clockworks, which I love, because the only one that they had available in the 8-inch height was light smoke, which is code for clear as shit, not dark at all. So now they have a dark smoke one, an 8-inch windshield. So those kind of accessories are out there. I'd say cruise the website if you got nothing to do and see what's what out there. But that is all I got. Figured I'd throw a quick one out there while everyone's still buzzing over the new bikes. So yeah, Salty, we shall see you next time. Keep the shiny side up and take care.